Hello everyone, this is Andrew Adams again for our next video, which I did touch base on CSS while doing colors, while talking about colors. And in this video, we're going to continue with CSS, but in this case, we're going to go over something that's involved, really important, which is borders, padding, and margins. Now how this works, if I were to bring this up, here is what we worked on before, all color and stuff. But down over here where you notice where it says Nintendo consoles, there is a, it's like in a little rectangular box, which we can actually create and we can control it as well. But in order to do this, we need to go into CSS. So in this case, I have part of it set up right here. But if I were to do this slowly, matter of fact, let's go with slowly. Up here where it has H1 bracket, curly bracket, and when you're going to create a selector, let's start out with right here, H1 curly bracket right here next to the H1, and then you're going to give it some space, obviously, and then you're going to create another curly bracket, but in this case it's going to be facing the opposite side, and between those curly brackets, this is where you're going to put in the CSS coding. But in this case, we're going to go with borders, which is definitely a CSS coding as well. So let's get started. For border, and then going to put in, let's see, we're going to put 20 pixels, solid, and let's make it black. And let's take a look. Bam, we changed up here. It got rid of the blue color and stuff like that because I erased it from the last coding. In order to give an example, that's the border. Now we're going to need to bring in the padding. So in the same line of code, within the H1 selector, below it, we're going to type in padding, and I'm going to include the dots. And in this case, we're not going to put in like the same thing we did with the border, like there's 20 pixels, solid, and black. No. In this case, it's different. With padding, let's say, because padding focuses on, for the border, it's going to focus on the inside. We're going to control the inside of what's going on here where it says Nintendo World. So, in this case, we could put like 100 pixels, 100 pixels, 100 pixels, 100 pixels. In this case, it'd be targeting like up, down, left, right. But in this case, we don't need to do that. No. We can just take these two out. And instead, these two pixel numbers, the first one right here for padding is going to represent up and down. And the one right next to it, the number right next to it, which is also 100 pixels, but this time it's going to represent left and right. So we want to save this, And if we were to reload the page, see that? We're controlling the inside, and we can also adjust it as well to whatever number we want. In this case, I went 50 pixels by 50 pixels. Save it. And made it smaller. That being said, let's move on to the next one. The next one is actually going to be called margins. But in this case, we're not going to target the inside or even the border itself. It's going to target the outside of the border, which will give you more control on like if you wanted to adjust the box itself, the border boxes. But let's dive into this so you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to type in margins. Can't forget about that. And let's say we want it to be 100 pixels by 100 pixels. If I were to reload it, refresh the page, oh, nothing happened. Bam, as you can see, we changed it. Like I said, it targets mainly the outside of the border, not the inside of this box, such and so forth. Again, just the outside. Margins target the outside of the border. And I can actually continue that as I go on. I can do what I did before. Like if I want to just make the pixel numbers smaller, this is what will happen. Change it again. And also, when it comes to when you're dealing with paddings, margins, you can also put in things like maybe I want to do a padding right. I took this out. Change that. Maybe padding left. Bam. It moved Nintendo World all the way to the left. And that's the end of the lessons on CSS when using borders, paddings, and margins. Thank you, and I hope y'all will look at the next video we'll be teaching.